Well, here comes the sun, and it's daylight now, so I'm going to go ahead and get ready to shove off. I was able to go yesterday and pick up a couple of 5-gallon cans from Walmart because I'm going to have to do a 189-mile run, and I only carry 120 gallons of fuel on my 2 tanks. So I've got 3 5-gallon tanks that I got uh, extras that I'm going to fill up with fuel. Right now, basically, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be leaving here, Peoria, and my next major stop is going to be Alton. Uh, from there, it's also another stretch of 203 miles to get me to Paducah, Kentucky. Um, Here also is where I'm going to pick up the fuel, so I've got to come out of here, go underneath the bridge, and head to the right-hand side where there's a marina. Not advertised very much for loopers, mainly because it's kind of shallow waters on that side. So it's gonna be kind of sneaky, kind of try and sneak in there, not hit the ground, and be able to pick up fuel. I shouldn't have any problems because I only draw a couple feet. I should be okay. But you still have to stay in the channel just to make sure that you don't run aground. I was told there was an average of low tide. I mean that it was an average of about 3 feet, up to 4 feet in some areas, 5 feet in some areas. So you just have to kind of stay in the channel, make sure you don't deviate from that. Should be able to get in there and pick up the fuel that I need, and then take off and make that 189-mile run to Alton. And from there, then I have to fuel up again and do 203-mile run to Paducah, Kentucky. And that's basically, once you get to Paducah, it's kind of basically where you get on the, you start on the Tennessee River, because you're leaving the Ohio River and going on to the Tennessee River. So that's my next major goal, is to make it to Paducah and start the Tennessee River run. So far, everything's running pretty good. You can see the sun's still coming up. By the time I get to the marina, it should be open. They open at 8 o'clock. So as long as everything goes okay, don't run aground. Water seems to be pretty good. But I can feel the wind picking up a little bit. So it's starting to get a little choppy, but not bad at all. And that's the nice thing about being on the river, is that it doesn't get that bad, even though the weather might turn on you a little bit. As you can see, I did make it into the marina, and I went ahead and picked up fuel, so I'm ready to go. You can see the flag up there blowing pretty strong, so the wind has picked up some more now. And now it's starting to get pretty high. Right now I'm in that little cove in the marina, so it's not bad. The water's not bad. But as I go out into the open river, you're going to be able to notice how the waves are picking up. And they're mainly picking up because it's shallow water. When you got shallow water and strong winds, the waves act up a lot higher than if you were in deep water. The wakes would be longer in deep water, whereas in shallow water, the wakes are much shorter together. And here I am still coming out of the marina, and you can see there's the barrier wall there. And once I get out on the other side of that barrier wall, that's when it starts getting kind of tough. It's still not bad. I shouldn't have a problem at all in getting in and out of here. And as long as I follow the channel the same way I came in, my GPS, the Garmin GPS, does what they call a crumb trail. It leaves a little trail of where you were in, where you just came through. So it's easy to go back out because you just follow that little line that brought you into the marina, and you follow that little line back out, and you're fine. So once you've done it once, the second time it's a lot easier because you know where you have to stay. You just follow that little line back out, and you're good. Uh, you can see the buoys on the opposites, on the outside of the barrier, their line, how they're moving back and forth. And you can see the boat kind of starting to sway a little bit more. It's rough now. The wind has picked up quite a bit, and because we're in shallow waters, it's going to be like this. Not for too long. According to the weather, it should be calmed down a little bit, and once you make a turn and head toward more south, right now we're actually heading west on the river, but once you turn southward and you're heading south on the river, now you're going with the current. The wind doesn't affect you that much anymore, so it does get better. Now what we're going to do is, as you can see, how the waves are acting up, and they're real short, and that's because we're in shallow water, and we're still not even out of the barrier wall there. You can see the wall there to the left. I've got to go. That's where I'm going to cut out and go out into the river here. But like I said, it's not going to be bad. It's just going to be a little bit better as far as the weather's concerned, and it's going to get smooth. According to the weather report, it's going to be nice and smooth and shouldn't be a big problem. Anyway, here we go. We're heading out. You can see the buoys, how they're moving back and forth a lot, and that's the wind blowing them one way or the other. And you can see here, now when you start seeing the white caps, that's when you know that there's, semi-rough weather. And that's a good indication of how bad or how good. The bigger the white caps, the worse the weather is. But you can see these buoys, you can look at them, and they're really, bobbing back and forth. And that's the wakes, doing all of that. But it's fine. No big deal. We got our fuel. We're heading out. And like I said, our next major stop is going to try and be Alton Marina, which is not going to be, we won't be there today. It's 189 miles that we're going to have to run. So we'll be staying overnight probably 2 times and try and make it, semi into Altoona. And once you're like I said, once you get into Altoona, we'll be fueling up again to make that long run to Paducah. And that would be it. Once we get to Paducah, we won't have the long range areas. We've covered the long range areas, and then we can go back to just filling up our gas tank, our regular tanks, and we should have enough range. And what we really do is just fill up one tank at a time, whenever we can, versus filling up both tanks. That way you don't carry that much weight. The less weight you carry on a boat, the better off you are. So what I've learned to do is I run one tank till it runs dry, and once I switch over to the other tank, then that's when I start looking to fill up the tank that's empty. And then when I get a chance to fill that one up, I fill that up, and then let the other one run down, and then I switch back and forth on the 2 tanks. That's less weight for me and the boat. Here we are now. We're heading south, and you can see the big barges going by here, being pulled by or being pushed by the tug here. Uh, and you can see how nice and calm the weather's gotten now. Now it's nice and calm. Uh, we're actually averaging a little bit faster than normal because we're also heading downstream. So, and of course, you don't have tides and stuff like that to have to deal with. The winds are really don't affect you that much because, as you can see, you're on a river. You got the trees on both sides, and that helps a lot with the winds if it's blowing. You'd have to have the wind blowing directly into your boat or out of your boat uh, to make a big difference. Here it is where I dropped off, where I stopped at a boat dock and decided to spend the night here. And these barges that I was telling you about, as you can see here, they travel all day and all night long. Uh, they travel fairly slow. They're not fast traveling. And if I guess because you're carrying so many barges, you can't afford to go real fast, and then end up turning, running aground or something like that. So I was just getting ready to call it a day. I just finished eating, getting ready to go to sleep when I saw this thing coming by, and I thought, well, I guess I could videotape this as the last thing I do before I go to bed tonight. So I did manage to find a boat ramp here, and they happen to have a dock right by the boat ramp. So I just pulled right into the dock, tied up there, and I really didn't see any boats coming in and out all night long that I was here, or did I hear them coming in and out. And even in the morning when I took off, there still wasn't any boats coming in and out. So it was a dock that probably wasn't used very often, but because it was there, I figured why not take advantage of it. Here it is the next morning, and you can see there's barge going by here again. Decided to go ahead and video record that barge just coming through. Again, it's 5 long, 3 wide, so it's a total of 15 barges all locked up into one, getting pulled by that one big white tugboat you see there in the back. And as you can see, they don't create a great wake or anything because they're going fairly slow. So it's not like you're going to have to worry about, the big wakes hitting you all over the place. You can see the water current running, so you can see how fast the current is going. And because I'm heading in the same direction as the current is downstream, it does help a whole lot as far as fuel economy. I'm getting a lot better gas mileage, and I'm going faster. So that's less money for me as far as what I have to end up spending for gas. And then I went ahead and after I filmed this, and I went ahead and got something to eat. I had breakfast on board with some milk and cereal and a banana is normally what I've been eating for breakfast. And here's that dock I was telling you about that I went ahead and tied up to and just stayed here overnight. Nobody showed up the whole night I was here or during the day. Even now when I'm leaving, there was still nobody coming in and out. And if there was, there's still plenty of docks out here where they could tie up while they're loading and unloading. So I always tied up to the very end one, figuring, as a last resort, if somebody tried to tie up, there'd have to be quite a bit of other boats tied up to the boat ramp or the docks here before, I'd be in somebody's way. And it works pretty nice. And there's no signs or anything that say you can't stay overnight, but if somebody came along, a ranger, a park ranger, or a city cop came by, said you can't stay here overnight, then I would just unhook my lines from the dock, drift over a little bit, like to where I'm at now, maybe go up a little bit closer to the bank, and then I would drop my anchor, and that was it. I mean, it's not a big deal. When you're on the river, like here, It's not a big deal where you drop anchor. The only thing is if you got these recreational boater guys that are traveling, faster than they should be on the river, then they have the capability of creating a big wake and pushing you all over, and especially pushing you toward the bank. And that's one thing you want to try and avoid. You don't want to try and get into the bank, because then you could damage your lower unit. You could damage the bottom of your boat or something like that. But I mainly stayed far enough so that I knew that even if a big wake came by from a boat or something, it wouldn't push me all the way to the bank. But anyway, we went ahead and started off the day here. And like I said, we have a goal that we're going to try and get to, and that's try and reach uh, Altoona, Alton. But I don't think we're going to be there tonight. So I think I'm going to have to probably tie up somewhere else overnight. And it just depends. According to the Loopers Association group that I'm a part of, they have an online that you can look up, which I do on my tablet. I look up on my tablet and see what they say about the area that I'm in, and they're talking about a restaurant that has some old barges that were tied up. They tied up together, and they created a floating docks, and it's for use in a restaurant. So I'm thinking I might go ahead and just stop there and have my dinner there, and just stay there overnight. And then after that, my next stop should be Alton uh, Marina, and that's where I can fuel up again. Uh, well, I can actually fuel there and then travel down a little ways uh, to get to Hobbies Marina, which is the last spot that you can pick up fuel before you get to Paducah. So from Hobby Marina to Paducah is 208 miles. But to be on the safe side, I'm still going to have to pick up a little bit of fuel in Alton, just to make sure that I got enough uh, fuel, because by then I will be running low. I'm not sure how much lower it would be, because I do have the 3 extra tanks. So I'm not exactly sure how much extra fuel I'm going to have. But I have enough. I know that. I kind of calculated how much more extra fuel I was going to need. So I really have enough. And because I'm running with the currents, it's helping me out fuel-wise. So that stretch of 189 miles shouldn't be a big problem. And then the other stretch right after that, when I leave Hobby Marina and I get to Paducah, that would be another 208 miles. So those are the 2 long stretches I have to do. Right now I'm doing one of them, and then I should be doing the other one in a few weeks, or next week. I should be getting ready to do the other one. But everything works out pretty fine. Everything is running good. You can see it's nice and pleasant as far as the days are going. Here's those barges I was telling you about, that they took these barges and just kind of hooked them up together and created a dock, a floating dock. And here's the name of the restaurant. It's River Rock Restaurant, and it's in Illinois. And that's where I went ahead and tied up. I tied up right here at their dock, and just went up and got something to eat. Didn't even ask if I could stay here. I figured, well, if somebody comes out and tells me I gotta move, then I'll move. But nobody did, so I went ahead and took off toward the next day. Everything went pretty smooth. I did see a couple boats go, a couple of the barges run by in the middle of the night. And because these barges were kind of, they weren't secured anywhere, they were just floating there. So when those are floating and the boat is floating and you got them tied up together, When there even a barge coming by, you could actually feel, the barge coming by. Not bad, not like you had to worry about anything. I just kind of noticed that it was moving. Uh, the boat's always moving all day long, and even at nighttime. Once you fall asleep, you don't feel it anymore that you're rocking back and forth. It's actually pretty soothing. Uh, and here we are. We finally made it to Alton, where I went ahead and got a dock for about 2 days. Wasn't sure, maybe staying another extra day, but a lot of these guys here are boaters that were waiting, also for checking the weather and seeing when they were going to take off. We had heard there was going to be a couple of days of pretty strong winds. Uh, and even though you're on a river, it still could get bad. So a lot of them decided they weren't going to take off. So I kind of decided the same thing. I might as well just stick around for a day or two. It was a pretty marina, real nice. We were undercover. We were supposed to get some rain, so even if it rained, I didn't have to worry about it because the boat was under my cover. I mean, kind of didn't need to be, but they just happened to have that one. And they asked me if I wanted it. I said, sure, why not? No problem. So you can see here I am tied up into this little or this little dock here. And the one thing I noticed, and the lady brought up to me, is that the whole marina is on a floating docks. Everything, even the swimming pool. You can see here the swimming pool is actually attached to the pilings there, and it's a floating swimming pool. It's floating on a dock. All the buildings that are here, as you can see, there's the land, and you have to come down these little bridges here, these little landings, to get to the marina. But the whole marina, everything is underwater, is in the water. You can see the big pilings there by the buildings. That water would have to come up that high in order to flood these buildings, because these buildings will go up as high as those pilings are right there when when they get flooded and all of this. So I don't know how high it is, but I know it's pretty high. So we're pretty much getting ready. Went ahead and fueled when I got in. Spent a couple of days here. Real nice marina. I wouldn't mind staying there. They did have a little cafe in there where you could buy something to eat. At least, warm food if you wanted to. They serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner there. So it was fine. Nothing fancy. Pizza, cheeseburgers, French fries, and that's about it. But all in all, there was a couple places where I went to and grabbed me something to eat. So this is the end of this part of my trip. So until we start the next one, hopefully you all will still hanging in there, and I'll be posting my next video, which should be when I get to Paducah.